and then one of our very own students from our executive committee that are going to be speaking tonight as well on the different career pathways that are available to you at SJSU. So we're very excited about this. Thank you, Amy. Anyway, so I just wanted to let you guys know quick before we get into this things. As I said, this is our first program of the semester. We do have several other programs coming up, which I won't talk about too terribly much, just to give you guys an idea of what we have coming up on the horizon this semester. Coming up in September is going to be it's actually September 25th, is going to be Fantastic Libraries and Where to Find Them. We'll have several different librarians that work at special libraries who are going to be telling you all about their work, what they do, how they got there. Including a librarian that works for Rolls-Royce and one that works for the Purina company. So we're pretty excited about that. In October, we'll be doing a program on government and military libraries. And then in November, we'll be doing a program on SLA National Organization and how you can get involved with them. Right now, I'm going to send this on over to Amy Nijkamp, our president, and she's going to tell you a little bit about SLA.
Thank you very much, Jess, and I appreciate all of you who've come and are attending for tonight. This is great. I'm going to share my screen for a moment so that you can see the presentation that I'm actually going to be giving tomorrow night, along with other professional organizations here at the school. And I'm not going to bore you with the entire thing, but I do want to point out some things. You may never have heard of special libraries as a term. And so I'm going to just briefly show you a couple of slides on what special librarians do and what special libraries are. You can see that librarians do the same kinds of things no matter what field they're in, but they are working in non-public libraries and non-academic libraries. So for instance, Walt Disney has its own research library. NASA has its own. In fact, JonLuc, whom you'll hear speak a little bit later, works for one of their research libraries. And you have the Human Rights Library that happens to be in Sweden. There's a criminology library in England that I wrote a blog about each of those a couple of years ago. So you can see there's all the government libraries. The Library of Congress is a special library. So that's where the term comes from. We're very concentrated on certain subjects. Now our group is several years old, and you can see our smiling faces on this slide. I don't ask you to memorize all of our names, but Dr. D is our faculty advisor, and she teaches Info 204, so a lot of you may end up with her, and she's fabulous. So I'm Amy, and Sarah is on the second row here. Jess is on the first row. There's no order here. I just put the photos up. But the first row and a half are all the officers, and everybody else on here are wonderful experts who've graduated or who've had to step away from the SLASC officers. And here you can see some of our open positions that we need to fill. And so we just ask you to consider, once you've learned a little bit more about our group, to apply to us. Send us your resume, send us why you might be interested. I will put up a link to our website, which will a little bit later this week have all of the job descriptions up so that you can see what it's like, and hopefully some of you will be able to join us. So that's my talk, and I'll put you back into what was being shared before. Sarah, I guess you'll have to share your screen again. So thank you very much for listening, and we're happy to answer questions at any time.
Thank you, Amy. Is there a place where they can go if they have additional questions or are interested in more information about joining SLA or becoming a part of the executive committee, an email or a website they can go to?
Yes, I'll put that into the chat box.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. If anybody has any questions for any of us, you can always send us an individual chat or you can send us an email as well. Before we get started tonight, I wanted to let you know that our social media director, the lovely Michio, is going to be live tweeting our event. So if you're interested, I think she's going to be putting the link to that into our chat box. If if you're interested in following that, and she's going to be using the hashtag SJSU Pathways. You guys want to follow that on Twitter tonight? Yes, thank you, Michio. She just put that in the chat box. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Our first speaker tonight is Dr. Sue Alman, and I'll just tell you a little bit about Dr. Alman. She's an academic advisor and teaches 4 different courses at the iSchool: Information Professions, Interpersonal Communications, Emerging Future, Technology Issues and Trends, and Marketing and Public Relations for Libraries. She's held a variety of positions at the University of Pittsburgh, University of Michigan, and different types of libraries. Her specializations include interpersonal communication, marketing, and public relation group dynamics, and foresight and strategic planning. As she said earlier, she's on the East Coast here with me. She's in Pittsburgh. She also teaches, writes, consults, and is currently involved in an IMLS-funded investigation of the possible uses of blockchain technology in libraries and information organizations. Tonight, Dr. Alman is actually going to be giving us an overview of the career pathways that are available to us here at SJSU. So, Dr. Alman, if you would like to take the floor.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to see so many people here. I need to share the screen. There we go. And as you were reading off some of the things that I've done, when I first became a librarian and was in the MLIS program, some of the things that I'm doing now didn't even exist. There was no such thing as online education. There was no such thing as blockchain technology. So what you are doing here is getting prepared to continue learning and changing throughout your career. So I just want to double check that you can see my PowerPoint, career pathways.
Yep, we can see it just fine. You're good to go.
Perfect. Perfect. Now I know I have 10 minutes. I left my timer in the other room. I'll try to keep my eye on the clock, but please don't hesitate to nudge me if I go beyond that. As I was said, I am an iSchool instructor. I'm also the curriculum committee co-chair, and I think that's why I was selected to talk to you about the pathways tonight, because the curriculum committee oversees all the different courses, and we keep updating the pathways on the website. I'm an academic advisor, consultant, and author, so I want to give you a little bit of information about the pathways. What I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes to give you some career direction and course selections. We'll look at the pathway options, give you some pointers on how to select courses, because San Jose has so many courses, more than any other program that I know of, and it's a really difficult choice with so many different options there. And I'll give you some recommendations. There's also several websites that I want to direct you to. You may be familiar with them. If you're rather new to the program, you may not. And they're things that you definitely want to know about. I've got some of the links on the sidebar as we go through these few slides, but I'm also going to screen share some of these with you. Now, there are many different pathways for you to review, but pathways are suggestions only. You do not need to select one pathway and adhere to it completely. There will be nothing on your academic transcript that indicates that you took the pathway in academic librarianship or special librarianship. What these have been developed is to give you guidance of what the pathway may lead to different types of positions, what courses you may consider taking, and definitely you want to become familiar with all of them so that you can mix and match and make yourself as marketable as possible. Our next slide, I think I'm going to be able to take you to the Career Pathways link just so that you know what it is. Do you see the career pathways up there? Because I do not see now. Oh, new share. Wait a second. Okay, what you should be seeing now is the webs page on our iSchool website that lists all the different career pathways. I'll just take a moment to go into the special librarianship pathway. They're pretty much all following this format. So it will give you an overview of the pathway. You can find a faculty advisor. So click on here, you'll be able to see who some of the people are who can give you specific information about that pathway. There'll be a description, different employment opportunities. They were already said some for special libraries on an earlier slide. And then the recommended coursework. Now, as I said, these are suggestions only. You do not need to feel that you have to take everything. But if your ideal job is one of these pathways and one of these pathways only, then you should consider the recommendations that are here. We're also going to be updating these in this next academic year to add more information to the pathways. Now, you can take down this note where the link is. Now we're going to go into career development. So the career development site is easily accessible from the main iSchool webpage. And there is so much information here that even if you're just starting the program, you need to become familiar with this website and this web page. There's all kinds of resources here. Make sure that you get your resume up to date, your cover letter. You never know when something is going to be coming your way. There's interview skills. There are webcasts. There's a blog. It's a site that you need to explore. And in most of the 204 sections, we have a module on this particular website so that you're familiar with what is here. But I cannot emphasize enough these two websites, the Pathways and Career Development. Now, how to select courses. You need to have balance. Explore all the different options that are available to you. And some of the questions to ask yourself: is there only one career that interests me? If there is, and I know there's some people that come into the program and they know they just want to be a law librarian or they just want to be in archives. So they can be very focused in that. But if you're a generalist or you're unsure, and many of our students don't really know which direction to go in, then you need to take a look at all the different options that are available. And to look what academic and professional experiences do you already have that can be marketable skills into a position. And take courses that add to your skills. If you were an undergraduate major in let's say marketing and communications, then you may not want to take my courses in marketing or communications. Take something else that is going to enrich and enhance the skills that you already have. And really pay attention to the 1-unit and 2-unit courses. I'm also the co-chair of the Leadership and Management Program Advisory Committee, and we have managers and leaders on our committee who are in a position to hire graduates, and many of them say, we would love to have new hires who know a little about a lot of different topics. So if there's a 1-unit course on blockchain or social issues, look to see those 1- and 2-unit courses to get familiar with some different areas. I want to take you to this other website or web page on our site. It's a career trend snapshot, and this is a research project that was done a few months ago, and I'm not going to go into it in detail, but you can see the link and some of the different information that is here. There is a trends overview. Where are the jobs in library and information science? There's a data analysis. You can look at the different job titles, duties, skills, specialized knowledge by type of work activity or role, recommendations for LIS job seekers. So you can see that there are 48 different slides here. Definitely come back to this site and take some time to look through it. So take a look at the career trends snapshot. Be flexible in selecting a career path. You never know what is going to come your way. You may think that you just want to work in a certain area, but all of a sudden another opportunity comes up, or you move geographically. So be flexible, be as marketable as possible, take a variety of courses, and as I mentioned before, closely examine the 1- and 2-unit special topics in Info 281 and Info 282. Review academic and professional MLIS skills. There's a number of websites available that let you know what are the competencies that are required. And my number one recommendation is to read job advertisements regularly. Know what kinds of jobs are out there. There's assessment librarians. There are future forecasting librarians, all different types of special librarians. So look at all the different job ads, see what appeals to you and what are the requirements so that you can fit your courses into that. And soft skills matter. When you look at the career trend snapshot that I just showed you, you'll notice that the soft skills of being a team player, interpersonal skills, effective communication, written and oral, are skills that are highly valued in the workplace. So I think I'm just exactly at my 10 minutes. I'm at the end of my slides, and I will be around toward the end of this session in case you have any questions, or you can always send me an email and we can communicate that way, or we can hop on Zoom. So I will turn it back over to the next speaker.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Dr. Alman, for giving us all that information. That was so much to take in. I think it was a lot of really great information. I'm wondering if you would be able to, some of the slides you went by too fast and I wasn't able to catch the the websites, but I did catch some. But I'm wondering if you could perhaps type some of the websites that you referenced. If you could put those into the chat, that way everybody has a link to them. If you wouldn't mind doing that, that'd be very much appreciated. Let's see. Next we have, oh goodness, Vicki Steiner, who is going to be speaking to us about special libraries this evening, which is what our group here is all about. She earned her MLIS from right here, San Jose State University in 2010, and served as a peer mentor for 203 for graduating in 2010 as an Illuminate student trainer. She was delighted to return to the iSchool family in 2011 to teach it, Info 203 online learning, tools and strategies for success, and has enjoyed teaching the course and meeting new iSchool students ever since. She also teaches Info 202 legal resources and Info 244 online searching. So welcome, Vicki. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome, and thank you everybody for joining this evening. It's great to see so many familiar names from both current and former Info 203 students. So welcome. So this evening I've been asked to talk a bit about special libraries and the Special Librarianship career pathway here at iSchool. As the introduction just mentioned a moment ago, I teach Info 203, Info 220, which is legal resources, and Info 244, which is online searching. I also serve as one of the advisors for the Special Librarianship career pathway, and my particular focus has historically been in academic law librarianship. My entry into the world of special libraries came in the form of a career of academic law librarianship, which I entered after practicing law for several years. I worked with local and state legislators as well to draft laws related to the protection of animals, but after growing a bit weary with the practice of law, I shifted focus to academia when I joined the law library at the UCLA School of Law, where I worked as a reference librarian, a co-director of the UCLA Animal Law program, and as the scholarly communications liaison for the law school. Let me make sure we can click through. So this evening, I'll be discussing what we mean when we refer to special libraries. I'll talk a bit about the Special Librarianship career pathway, share some tips for course planning, and review some recent job opportunities in special libraries. So I'll cover a bit of the same ground that Amy mentioned, as well as Sue, with an emphasis on special libraries. At the end of my slides, I also provide several links to helpful resources that you can bookmark for later reference. And of course, if you have any questions about anything I cover, feel free to email me at vicki.steiner@sjsu.edu. So as Amy mentioned, special libraries are also called information centers, knowledge resource centers, or a variety of similar names. And they're basically information-focused units that support strategic goals of organizations within which they're based. Special libraries may be its own department with a single librarian, or have many librarians or information professionals. They can be centralized or distributed, collaborate with global teams, be virtual or location-based, or be supporting for-profit or nonprofit organizations. Some of the examples of special libraries include legal, which include law firms, corporate legal departments, law schools, government agency librarians and court libraries, corporate and nonprofit organizations, medical schools, pharmaceutical companies, government entities, prison librarianship, media librarians, museum and art societies. There are, of course, several professional library associations devoted to each of these types of special libraries, many of which are associated with SLASC's parent organization, the Special Libraries Association. Others, such as the American Association of Law Libraries and the Medical Library Association, are noted on the Special Libraries' career environment pages, which I'll link to in a moment. As you consider careers in these areas, I encourage you to get involved with the organization that corresponds to your interest, as it's never too early to start networking or to continue your education in terms of professional development. So think of things like joining the SLASC student chapter. There are also student chapters of the other professional organizations I mentioned, and you can also explore opportunities in areas like internships and volunteering to gain the experience that pertains to the type of library in which you're interested. Now let's see if I can click on this current link and do a new share. So hopefully, are you all seeing the Special Librarianship Career Pathway page now?
Yes.
Great. So as you can see on the Special Librarianship Career Pathway page, you'll find a description of special libraries, various employment opportunities, core theory and knowledge, and recommended coursework. Let me go back. I know I'm running. Whoop. Now, there are core competencies that have been revised by the Special Libraries Association in 2016, and I've highlighted those competencies on the current slide. These comprise the primary skill areas of special librarians. So they include areas like information and knowledge services, systems and technology, data retrieval and analysis, information ethics, and so forth. There are also enabling competencies, which are defined as key to professional success and career development. So those relate to many of the soft skills that Sue mentioned are important as you approach a career in special libraries. So things like critical thinking, including qualitative and quantitative reasoning, the ability to work effectively in teams, as well as working independently, working in a fast-paced environment, and juggling multiple projects at the same time. Now let's talk about how these core and enabling competencies relate to the competencies you've all come to know and track here at iSchool using those trustee student success planners that you're introduced in Info 203. These, of course, track well, so in your tenure as graduate students in the program, you're developing skills needed to thrive in a career in special librarianship. There are, of course, required courses, including the core courses, and there are also foundation courses that are recommended. I've listed just a few of them on the current slide that will be offered in the upcoming spring term. These include a reference course in Info 210. There are a number of topics in Info 220 ranging from legal resources, maps and GIS, and psychology of the information user. Other courses include database design and management, online searching, advanced information technology tools and applications, things like web design, information visualization, and information architecture. vocabulary design, and much more. All of these are mentioned in the Career Pathways page, which is an invaluable tool for you to explore as you're considering your career and opportunities for courses. Okay, let's see. One side I wanted to go to quickly here. This is linked from the Career Pathways page as well. If I can get my new share to pop up here. Ah, okay. Thank you. So, thanks, Jessica. Okay, so there is a career environment page for special libraries, which provides great information about job titles, salaries, sample job postings, and so forth. Now, what I really wanted to show is on that page, you're linked to sample job postings from previous semesters, but I also wanted to review current postings available on the SLA website to give you a sense of the current job market and the skills required for successful candidates. So you can explore your own by searching by industry or job function. But you can see on these images, there are many opportunities ranging from positions with government agencies, corporations, law firms, museums, and academia. Some of these positions do require additional degrees, such as a law degree or a master's degree, and the number of years may vary for experience. The titles include librarian, emerging trends library consultant, digital initiatives librarians, art museum librarians, taxonomy analysts, informationists, and website designers. So I'm sorry, I've gone over time. Jessica, sorry. But
yeah, that's okay. I know it's so much information to get out in such a short amount of time. We really appreciate you giving us all the information, and we'll have some time for questions at the end if anybody has any information, and we'll also have this up and people can contact you for more information then as well.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't set my timer like you said, but I'm going to post some of the qualifications that these postings had in common in the chat window so folks can see where I was going.
That'll be perfect. Thank you so much, Vicki, for joining us today. Thank you. Let's see. All right, next up we have Dr. Lisa Daulby, who is going to be speaking with us tonight about the Archives and Records Management Career Pathway. She's a lecturer at the School of Information, and she holds a doctorate in information technology and is a certified records manager and information governance professional. She teaches on a variety of subjects, which include emerging technology trends and their effect on information management and governance. She's also a records manager and information governance professional with Royal Bank of Canada, one of North America's leading diversified financial services companies. Dr. Daulby, if you'd like to go ahead and share your screen.
Is everything looking okay on your side?
Yep, everything looks good and we can hear you just fine.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So hello, SLA Student Chapter. I'm so excited to be with you here. Thank you so much for the invitation to speak about the Archives and Records Management Career Path. So I thought I'd just begin by giving you a quick overview of the career path. Really the formal title of the career path, and it's one of the 14 that you have seen on websites, is the Management, Digitization, and Preservation of Cultural Heritage and Records. And we kind of shorten that to the Archives and Records Management career path. And by shortening that term, I really do want to do it justice, because this career path can really lead you to some careers that are really beyond just the archives and records management stream. And so more on that on a later slide. But I really wanted to begin today to tell you that students who are really interested in this field, archives and records management and cultural heritage, have two awesome degree choices here at San Jose iSchool. Of course, most of you are here to hear about the career path within the Masters of Library and Information Science. So, you're all here to hear about the specialization of archives and records in the MLIS degree. But I really wanted just to point out that there is another master's degree in Archives and Records Administration, the MARA degree, which is another choice. And I really just wanted to spend 1 minute just to tell you the difference between MLIS versus MARA, because Dr. Franks, who is my colleague and director of the MARA program, and I get asked this question quite a lot from MLIS students. And also, like I just said, I spend 1 or 2 minutes on this because I really wanted to give the MLIS students the opportunity to look at some of the MARA classes, because as an MLIS student, if you are interested in the archives and records career path, you will have the opportunity to take MARA courses as an elective. So I really just did want to just speak a little bit about that. So like the MARA program is in no way affects the archives and records management career path, and if anything, it enhances it, because if you did want to explore any of the MARA courses as an electives, and if you did choose to take this career path, it will really just strengthen the ties that students can work more closely with professionals and experts in archives and records management. So really the real main difference between the MLIS and the MARA degree is that MARA is not accredited by the American Library Association, because it does not contain any library-focused courses, all of like your required courses. So if you really want to work in an archives or records within a library environment, then the MLIS degree is right for you. And a really good example of that is students who need to work in a university setting, and most university librarians need ALA accreditation for that. But if you want to work in a records or archivist setting, in a non-library setting, then the MARA program is right for you. And so I'll talk a little bit about that in the next slides. So just in terms of professional scope, and I know we all know what archivists and records managers do, but just at a very high level, the role of an archivist and records manager is to organize, describe, interpret, manage, and provide access to material created in the present. And we also organize and provide reference and to those records that are inherited from the past. And our job is to preserve and to preserve them for use in the future. Archivists work with multiple media. We work with traditional handwritten records and printed documents. We work with photographs and videos and tape recorders and historical computer tapes and discs, maps, three-dimensional objects, and increasingly, as technology progresses in this information world, we're working more with born digital records, and this really includes websites, virtual worlds, social media, mixed reality, and technology, and including digital games and software and other emerging technologies, which what's really, for me, makes this an exciting career. So some professional theoretical foundations. By choosing the archives and records management pathway, you'll be exposed to many of the theoretical foundations that will prepare you for a career in the field. So on the archive side, with this career pathway, with the right course choices, which I'll talk about in the next slide, you will be exposed to archival theory and practice, including basic knowledge of archival appraisal, processing, reference, and outreach. And on the records management side, you will be able to define, identify, control, and manage and preserve records both in the traditional and electronic format. And we will be able to, you will learn how to capture, manage, and preserve records and data created in these emerging technologies, and that reside in very non-traditional environments. And you've heard us speak about them, including the cloud and blockchain environments. So let's really get right to it and get to course selection in the career pathway. As you've seen in the special library presentation that Vicki so lovely presented, we have very similar in terms of we want to present some really foundational courses and then recommendation courses. So just to begin right away, absolutely, if you're interested in this career pathway, Info 256, Archives and Manuscripts, Info 259, Preservation Management, and then Info 284, the seminar courses in Archives and Records Management, which has a slew of really fantastic courses. I'm going to give a shout out to myself in terms of paying special attention to electronic records, because that's a course I teach. It's my class, so put a little happy face besides that one. I know we have Professor Scott here, who's going to talk to you about digital curation, another fantastic course in this career path, and a couple of courses on photograph preservation. All excellent courses that will, very interesting. I always say, I wish I was a student. I'd go back and take many of these courses myself. I did want to make a special call out for Info 294, which is the internship experience. In the past, I've supervised internships in Archives and Records Management. So if you're really interested in this career path, please contact me, because in the past I have directed internships and helped students gain a valuable work experience in the Archives and Records Management space with the internships. And also, if you're a special session student, I also want to call out there are MARA classes, so please check out all the MARA classes, and they teach a number of the MARA classes, and there's always a MARA, an MLIS student, and they always do extremely well. Afraid of registering for a MARA course as one of your electives if you are interested in this career path. So where will you be expected to work post-graduation if you do go down this career path? So this list I'm about to share with you is ever-changing and evolving as technology changes and evolves, but I've seen students graduate and become archivists, digital asset managers, electronic records managers. One I want to call out is information governance. That's probably the most fastest growing specialization in our field. You work government records managers. You will be, document controllers. I've seen some students go into privacy and information security. And of course, you can also be consultants and educators, and yes, you can teach in this field. What industries will you work in? As I said, it's a multitude of industries that you can work in as a records manager or archivist or information professional, including the government, the private sector, education, financial services like myself, oil and gas, cultural heritage, and even in religious communities. So I will share with you on the next slide the resources where all this information came from, and it's actually some work that Dr. Franks, the MARA program director, does once a year in terms of doing a job analysis of what records managers and archivists' job descriptions in the field. So, as we close out, and I know I'm coming close to my 8 minutes, I just wanted to provide you with some additional resources. I'm not your only faculty are in this career path, but I'm probably your main one. So please feel free to answer any questions about the MARA program, the MARA electives, and the 284 electronic records and the other courses within 284. You see here listed Dr. Lorenzo and Aaron Lorrimore. They teach that foundational course on archives and manuscripts. Again, Dr. Franks is always available as the MARA director to answer all questions. And of course, our wonderful associate director, Dr. Main, is the main is always available to answer all questions about your electives, but she's specifically really interested in medieval manuscripts. So if you have a thing for that, she'd love to hear from you. And of course, we have Professor Scott here, who has a wealth of information on digital curation and the courses she teaches, and you'll be hearing from her in just a minute. Just to close out, I want to give you a link to the professional organizations, the Society of American Archivists and ARMA International. Go visit those sites. They're awesome. They have, both sites have, so you want to be an archivist, so you want to be a records manager type information on developing your career in this field. So yeah, please go visit those sites if you're interested. And finally, I just want to, if you see the last link, the Archives and Records Management Job Analysis, there's the link to that. Dr. Franks, each year since 2011, so this is an awesome site. And Dr. Franks and our research assistants do a records management and archives job analysis report, and we look at all the job postings from that year and to see trending and analysis, and it's just an excellent resource. You'll see that there's some awesome opportunities for ML students and MARA students if they pursue this career path. There's some really great career opportunities. So just to close out, I just want to say hello and thank you for everyone for listening to me. And if you have any questions, there's my contact information, and I'll be around to answer any questions at the end. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Dr. Daulby. Next up, we have Alyce Scott, and she's going to be speaking to us about digital curation. She's a lecturer at the iSchool as well, and has an MLIS from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and has worked in a variety of library settings, including developing an electronic reserves program for Brookins Library at the University of Illinois Springfield. Alyce, if you want to go ahead and share your screen, and you can do your part of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, let me see if I can, here we go. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. It's great to see all of you virtually, and especially my current students in my digital tools, methods, and systems class, digital curation class. So I'd like to just give you a quick overview of what I'm going to talk about. We're just going to look at digital curation job titles, some skills for digital curation. I'll look at the courses in the pathway and the pathway site. So I always like to start my digital curation tools, systems, and methods class with this particular slide, not only because it does make me laugh, but it's uncomfortably close to the truth. Digital curation is a slippery term, and it's hard to define in a really definite, definitive fashion. Not everybody understands what it is, especially if you start looking at job titles. So I want to tell you one thing, though, about digital curation. Even if you think you don't know anything about it, you're not starting at ground zero. If you're familiar with or you've used any of these tools, then guess what? You already have experience in digital curation. So it's just something to think about, that you probably already do some of these kind of things. Now, if we go to the digital curation pathway site, you'll see a list, this whole list of different types of job titles. And you can see that some of them don't even have anything to do with curation. I mean, the title doesn't. Digital preservation specialist, digital preservation manager, informatics, data services specialist, metadata librarians. These don't necessarily sound like digital curation job titles, but they are. If you look at job titles, if you go out and look at current listings for jobs in digital curation or digital preservation for that matter, you will find a lot of weird little things tucked into these job titles. You know, I go out and read job descriptions regularly. Like, you know, every couple of months I go out and troll around, and I think it was Sue that mentioned that it was a really good idea to do that, and I would second that, because it's good to know what people are thinking out there, what the employers are thinking about. And I also agree with Sue when she says that new hires that know a little about a lot of topics are desirable and valuable. This is so true, especially in this area, because digital curation is still a little bit of a newer kind of area for specialization. So in that vein, how do we begin to prepare for the world of digital curation? Well, you know, some of the skills that are really essential, now these were skills that I found just in the last couple of weeks looking at job descriptions, recent job postings. Some of these were for digital archivist jobs, and some of these skills were digital preservation librarian jobs. There's no mention of digital curation in either one of those titles, but here you see, look at all these interesting things. And I think that some of the skills, the top skills that employers are looking for are things like experience, you know, internships. I would echo Lisa when she talked about internships. I think that that's a really, if there's any way that you can do that, it is a really important thing. If I were to go back and go to library school, that would be one of the main things I'd want to do is an internship in an area that I was interested in. Also, because you might discover it's not something you care to do. I mean, really, it's entirely possible. But I think that facility with archiving tools and skills for appraisal and selection, these are also some really important things that were not listed. But these are part of the digital curation life cycle, and these are really important skills that I think employers will be looking for as well. In terms of, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, but I did want to say one thing. You know, as I'm looking at the courses and things that the iSchool offers, it is amazing the kind of skills that you can gain by taking these courses. And I was going to go to, I think I probably have time to do this. Let's take a quick look. And I probably have to, can you all see that, or do I have to do something else here?
Are you trying to show the
digital curation pathway, the actual site?
Oh, the site is not coming up.
Do I have to reshare the screen, probably?
Oh, I think so, yes.
Okay. There. How's that?
Yep, perfect. We see it.
Okay. So on this site, you'll notice that you can also find a faculty advisor here too. But I wanted to talk about, now here's the list that I had in the slide, but I wanted to talk about some of the core theory and knowledge, and you can see that these do relate to those job description skills that employers are looking for. The required courses, of course, are required for the MLIS, but the foundation courses and the recommended courses are things that are for the digital curation pathway. And some of these classes, of course, especially the Info 284 classes, some of these are not offered every semester too. So you have to kind of think about what you're choosing to do and look into that before you decide that definitely you want to take this class or this class. Because I noticed that when I was going through this summer, I've created a crosswalk it's not available yet on this site, but I've created a crosswalk between the core competencies and the pathway courses so that you also know which courses will provide you with those core competencies that you need in the end for your MLIS. It's pending approval from my committee, and we will be meeting in September. So I expect to see that crosswalk will be linked on this page this fall. So that's something that's kind of, we're trying to get a little bit more in here, a little bit more information for you to help you to make some decisions as well. Also, one of the things that we'd like to add to this is how the job skills are related to specific courses. So that's going to take a little bit more time to investigate the specific courses as opposed to the skills. And but that's another enhancement that I hope in the next semester or so will be here. So let's go back to my little presentation here. I'm just about finished. Oh, there's the site again. Oh, that was it. Oh, sorry. I stopped it a little fast. Anyway, what I wanted to say in closing is that as we continue, and as scholars continue, as we continue to create these huge pools of data, and those collections become digital or are born digital, I expect that we will hear a lot more about job openings for people with these kind of skills that are, you know, collecting, organizing, indexing, and helping to share data, which is essentially digital curation and digital preservation for that matter. So I encourage you to take a look at the digital curation site if you are at all interested in this pathway. And thank you again for having me here this evening. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Alyce. I know you guys there's so much information that everyone is giving us that I know we're gonna have so many questions. I just want to let you guys know we are going a little bit over tonight, just because these faculty members do have so much information that they're giving us, and it's wonderful. We are going to have JonLuc Christensen give a little bit on the student perspective for just a few minutes, and then after that we are going to have some question and answer. So if you guys are able to, please stick around for a little bit. JonLuc, if you would like to present your student perspective. Oh, JonLuc, I should tell you a little bit about him before I put him up on the screen, I guess. He is actually a graduate candidate for SJSU in MLIS and advanced certificate programs here. He serves as the immediate past president for the SLA student chapter and is the founder and president of the iSchool's first generation student group. He currently works as a records management specialist for NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
All right, I think everyone can see me. So thank you for having me. I'll keep it brief just because I know we're over on time right now. But just 2 points I kind of want to hit on really quickly. And those are, first of all, I have had the pleasure of having each of our presenters, with the exception of Dr. Alman, for my classes. So this is a big pleasure for me, especially since many of the things they said really relate to my experiences with the pathways. And so just really quickly, a couple of things I wanted to highlight. What Dr. Alman said about you don't know where you're going to go when you come into this program is very true. My background is in history. I wanted to be an academic librarian. That's what I was going to school for. I had set up all my courses. I'd planned out all 4 years of that's what I was going to be. And then at the end of my first semester, I joined, my first semester, I joined SLA, and at the end of my first semester, I got an internship at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory for records management. Had no idea what records management was, really didn't know what I was going to do, and ultimately got hired on for a permanent position, and that's now my career track. It has nothing to do with academic libraries. So that really also kind of goes into what Vicki and Alyce said about internships and how important and influential they can be in your career. So I really want to emphasize that. And then to follow up, I just want to say, the pathways helped me because I walked in intending to be an academic librarian. That was the pathway I was going to do. And when records management came into the picture, I really didn't know how to do that. I didn't know what courses to take, what classes to take, and how to, change my direction academically. And so the pathways were a huge benefit to that. And so just a couple of the ones that I'll point out, but I guess the main one I'd point out is the Digital Services and Emerging Technologies pathway. Allowed me to find courses that were tailored to this new career direction that I was going, that I really didn't know if I was going to be sticking with, if I was going to like, or, I kind of had an idea that I liked it, but I wasn't sure. And more than anything, I didn't know where to start in order to begin gaining the experiences in those courses. So that's why I would recommend the pathways. I know we're over on time, so I'm just going to keep it as short as that. I was able to have Dr. Daulby as one of my professors last semester for electronic records, and now I'm helping implement an electronic record system for the entire laboratory. So, and the pathways help me find that course. So I would recommend that you review them and you really take to heart what has been said tonight, especially get a little bit of experience everywhere, keep your options open, and use the tools and resources that the iSchool has provided to the best that you can. Thank you.
Thanks, JonLuc. This is Sarah DeWitt. I'm the Assistant Programming Director, and I've been keeping track of the questions that we've gotten during this event. And so I wanted to start with the first one, which Kelsey asked. She wanted to know where the recording for this event would be posted. I just wanted to let everyone know it's going to be on the SLASC website under events. We're also going to post it on YouTube and ScholarWorks, so you guys can watch the recording there and refer back to it as you continue on in the program. Our next question was from Elva. She wanted to know, how does one get an advisor, and how often would you recommend meeting or checking in with one? Maybe Dr. Alman, you could answer that?
Yes, there's so much information on the iSchool website that you can look at before you contact an advisor, but there are several different locations where you can see where the academic advisors are. I will pull up that website and put it in the chat for you. And you can really use an advisor or not use an advisor as often as you want. So I would say I get just a couple contacts a term. People are pretty self-sufficient, but there's really, it depends. We're here for you. Use us, but if you feel that you can get enough information on the website, do that. I do want to point out that there are academic advisors and then there are student services advisors. So I'll put up the academic advisors, the difference in chat, and we can go on to the next question.
Okay, the next question was, what experiences would you recommend for someone looking to go into academic librarianship, and this person has a master's in another academic subject but does not have library work experience?
I guess I can answer that, but can you just read the first part of it? I was starting to look for the website when you were talking. So what was it about academic librarianship?
What experiences would you recommend for someone who's looking to go into academic librarianship?
I think it depends whether you want to go to a small academic library, a very large one. In a small academic library, it's what I always called meatball librarianship, where you need to do a little bit of everything. In larger academic libraries, they're much more specialized, and they often prefer a subject master's. You would go in targeted as intermediation or technical services or IT. So the experiences that I would recommend for everybody, whether you want academic or something else, is take an internship while you're in the program. We have so many fabulous internships that you can do in person or virtually. You can do virtually abroad, and it's underutilized. So I highly recommend that even if you've been working in libraries before you came into the program, do an internship. It's a way to network, it's a way to get experience, it's a way to get a new reference.
I'll also add, this is Vicki, that in terms of academic positions in my experience and in specifically in law libraries in the academic environment, to take opportunities in your courses or your work experience to give presentations or create instructional materials. For many of these positions, you often have to give a presentation as part of the interviewing process. So it's great for you to take courses in which you can develop those skills if you haven't been using them already.
Thank you. I wanted to mention that Amy is going to be posting a link for participants. It's a survey. If you guys wanted to fill it out, it'll just be questions about the program tonight and the kinds of things that you'd like to see our organization do in the future. So we'd really appreciate it if you could fill that out. Let's see, the next question. Is digital curation more common in academic, public, or special libraries? And is there a lot of growth in this area? And it was briefly answered in the chat, but just in case people didn't see it, Alyce, could you answer that again over audio, please?
Sure. Oh gosh. Well, that was the question about academic and public libraries?
Yes. Is it more common in academic, public, or special libraries? And then there was a follow-up about, is it moving more into corporate type jobs?
Yes, I think it's more common in academic libraries simply because academic libraries already have these big repositories of data that they're working with. And so a lot of that is born digital now, but they are digitizing data as we speak as well, you know, in the previous years. So yes, it's more common, I would say, definitely in academic libraries and probably special libraries to a certain extent too, as public libraries not as much. And yes, I do see that in the corporate world, there's a lot more thought about digital curation. And if you notice, if you start looking at jobs, you will find more in the corporate world as well that are about digital preservation and digital curation.
Okay, thank you. We also wanted, a few minutes ago, the internships were mentioned. I think Vicki mentioned those, and someone asked where we can find those internships.
I will post that as well. We have a whole page on internships, how to get one, and I've just posted in chat the iSchool advising website so that you know the difference between an academic advisor, the types of questions you can ask them, and student services, and the iSchool Advising Toolkit. I did not mention that, but as I posted in chat, it's super, super, super important that you take a look at this website. It's a template that you can lay out everything that you need to know for your program and the courses to take. So I will get the internship website up there just in a moment.
Great, thank you. Another question that just came in, what do you recommend for students to get letters of recommendations? I find that online is hard to make connections, but we need letters of recommendation since this is specialized.
I can take a first stab at that. I regularly write letters of recommendation for students, and you don't need to know a faculty member intimately. If you've been in the class, you can, what I ask people to do is send me your resume, send me your cover letter, send me what job you're interested in and the points that you want me to make about you, and remind me when you were in my course, what projects did you do, what kinds of comments did I make on your materials, because I do give comments to people. So don't be hesitant. And I just had someone ask me for a reference, and she said, I've never asked a faculty member because I didn't think they knew me well enough. And it's true, we can't know everybody and everything about you, but if you do approach us and give us that background information and we're familiar with your work, we can certainly give a strong academic reference.
This is Alice. I would second that, Sue. I've written a number of letters of recommendation for scholarships and for jobs and things for students, and I think it's a great thing. You should always ask a professor to if they're interested, and also send that kind of information that Sue said. That's exactly what I ask my students to send me, so I can tailor it to what they need.
And I will third that. This is Vicki. So I've written many recommendations as well, and it also helps to provide the job posting so we can include and tailor it to the specific job that you're applying for. One of my students actually just got a good position at the UC Davis Law Library, so that was very exciting.
That's so good to know. I actually didn't know that you guys would write those, so I learned something tonight too. I think that's it for the questions in the chat box. If anyone has more, send them, or feel free to hop on the audio and just ask it.
Well, I just want to say one other thing. The iSchool website has all kinds of detailed information. So definitely do a search. It's really easy to do a search on the website in the box to see what comes up. And we're all information professionals. It does get a little bothersome to me if somebody asks a really simple question that can so easily be answered by looking on the website. I don't mind at all answering questions where you're asking my advice about things, but I even had a student, and it wasn't at San Jose, it was at another university, who had graduated and called me up to ask me how to find some information that she had a question to ask at the reference desk. Now, that just didn't sit well, and that's an extreme, but definitely use the website before asking.
Okay, well, I think, thank you for those last words, Dr. Alman. I think that was Dr. Alman that was speaking last. Thank you for those last words. It's, as you said, we are information professionals studying for that, so it's good to do our own research too before we find that information. I just wanted to close out this evening by thanking everyone who came to attend this event tonight, our first event of the fall semester. I especially want to thank our speakers that we had this evening, to Sue, Vicki, Lisa, Alice, and JonLuc. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your busy schedules, especially right here at the beginning of the semester, to come and participate and give some great information to all of our participants tonight. I wanted to close out by saying, Just a reminder about our next program that's coming up is on Tuesday, September 25th, Fantastic Libraries and Where to Find Them. And then keep an eye out on our, well, Amy has up on the screen right now, all of our contact information, our Facebook, our Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the fun stuff. Keep an eye on there for all of our upcoming programs and a lot of fun. And if you want to get involved, please contact us. We have a lot of fun in this group, and there's so much information to learn. So thank you, everybody, and everybody have a good night.